Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast Away podcast. Today we have a coach confessional, and I am joined by my good friend, Ali Tessitore. You're also a mentor to our certified coaches, and you happen to be certified in so many things as well.
Exactly. Yep.
You're like the hormone queen.
I'm obsessed.
Yes.
With all of it.
Yes. And we're going to be talking about biohacking,
Biohacking.
which our one friend calls it biohazard by accident.
And I do those little, what are those little emojis with the biohazard? It's like warning, warning.
Yeah. Because we're always talking about coffee enemas and ozone therapy and saunas. And she's like, are you talking about biohazards again?
It's the crazy stuff. I think even today I sent a message about something. I'm like, look at this new supplement we have to take. We have to take this.
I love it. Yeah. And it's like you kind of, you're like over 35 when you start to do all these things just to optimize your energy and your health. But
Exactly.
I love it. We've talked about biohacking a little bit on the podcast before. I've had a gal named Biohacking Bombshell on Instagram. She's great.
You sent me her stuff to look at that one time.
Yeah. She's great. She says if you have a pulse, you have a parasite. So she's all into parasite cleanses, which I know you are too.
I'm obsessed with those.
Yeah.
They can like look in your eye, and if you have the little lines, you have a parasite.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
So look in your eye.
So, Ali, you are an expert in all things coffee enemas, colonics, liver detox, castor oil. But I just want to kind of dive into a few things. And I feel like we're going to have to do a multi-part series here.
Part 2, part 3, maybe part 4.
Yeah, exactly. So let's first talk about coffee enemas, which, by the way, I tried for the very first time a few weeks ago. We went to one of our friends' houses and we all did it together. And it was funny because I was like walking out the door after doing my leg day workout, and Cole is like, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to Clay's house to do a coffee enema. And he's like, is Clay going to stick that up your butt? I'm like, no, we're all doing it. We're administering it ourselves in separate bathrooms, just all at the same time.
Exactly.
So let's talk about why you got into coffee enemas, kind of why and when, and then we'll share the benefits. And then I do want to kind of just talk through the process because I was so intimidated by it when I first started hearing about it. And so for everyone listening, we'll kind of go through the steps a little bit. I don't have any visuals with me, but
I almost brought like the coffee enema kit, and I was like, this is how you do it. Here's a tutorial, but we'll save that for another time.
So when did you start getting into coffee enemas and why?
I started doing coffee enemas probably a year ago. I've been in this space for 12 years, and it started like, and I love your story that you've shared with hormones, PCOS, and fertility.
High blood pressure.
Exactly. And mine started 12 years ago, right after I had Emmy. So Emmy and Emma, they're best friends. Okay. So mine started postpartum, 3 under 5, and Emmy was 6 weeks old. And I started to have just hormonal imbalances, got my hormones checked, and they were just all over the place. And that's when I really became an advocate for my health. And I couldn't find the answers mainstream medicine. So I became an advocate for myself, and I started to really dive deep and become a patient for myself, an advocate. That's when I got my certifications. And I started to realize that there were so many other non-medical interventions I could do to help heal my hormones, to help heal my gut, and just to have overall longevity and just to feel my best. So I started with some things that we'll talk about maybe on a different podcast, but eventually I realized there was something called coffee enemas. And I started doing those a year ago. And I am a nurse, so putting things up my butt doesn't make me nervous. Like I would do enemas in the hospitals on kids. Like, I don't know if you have kids, when your kids are sick, like sometimes you'll do like a suppository. Like, so
honestly, I feel like for moms, I'm like always sticking things up people's butts. Like literally later today, I'm not even kidding. I'm probably going to have to do an enema on Ty. So I'm like, I'm very comfortable with butts.
Exactly.
It is what it is. Like if you're a mom, you're just, you do
what you got to do.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do when you're sick. And in the holistic integrative world, there's a lot of remedies like coffee enemas that are just incredible for healing, for hormone balance, for gut health, for digestion, for skin, autoimmune, and coffee enema is one of those.
And how would it be applicable to hormone balance in particular? Just because you're able to detoxify maybe toxic estrogen because your liver is functioning more optimally?
Yes. Okay. So specifically with coffee enemas, what they are is they're targeting your liver. So your liver is your detox organ. So if your liver is sluggish, Yes. And we've talked about this because you don't produce glutathione.
Right. I
Okay.
don't produce or process
And
glutathione.
glutathione is the master antioxidant. So a lot of times you're going to see out there people are taking glutathione, they're doing things to help increase that antioxidant in their body.
Yeah.
And really, you don't need to be taking glutathione if you're stimulating the production naturally of
Yeah.
glutathione, which is a coffee enema.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just real quick, so for people listening for the first time, so I did a genetic test a few years ago and I discovered that I was missing two genes that create and process glutathione. And many times different specialists had said like, "Oh, let's do a glutathione push. Let's get you on glutathione, da da da, for immune system." And I kept telling my doctor like, "No, no, no, I can't because I don't process it." Blah blah blah. Well, finally, I had an IV guy at my house who was like for years like, "Let's just try a little glutathione
Hmm.
push. Let's just try it." And I think the typical dosage is like 600 milligrams, or I don't know. It's 600 something, and he's like, Let's just try 25. Not 625." And when I tell you it was like snake venom being
Yeah.
injected into
I
my
remember you
body,
saying that.
I was like shaking, my blood pressure tanked. I almost went to the ER. I was just in like the tub. I just put my head under the water in the tub for like 2 hours straight and just let it process out of my body. But anyway, long story short, I can't do glutathione, but there's still, there's so many benefits to doing something like a coffee enema, even if you're in my situation.
Exactly. And so it doesn't just only trigger the production of glutathione, but it helps also increase the flow of bile.
Yeah.
So bile is very essential to your body with your gallbladder. And you saw in my stories,
We got to talk about
or-
that later.
yeah, so I did a liver gallbladder flush and stones came out. And so what happens
Hundreds and
is
hundreds and
hundreds of
hundreds of stones.
stones.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds of stones. So what happens is you want the bile so that the bile flushes out the toxins, the gallstones, the debris that is in your liver gallbladder.
Yeah.
So what the coffee enema does is when you perform the enema, it goes right to the liver. So it targets it. So it's almost like if you think of peroxide on like a wound, it's like pouring peroxide on the wound and it's like you see the bubbles coming up and then it cleans out the debris. It's the same exact thing for your liver. So when you insert the enema and you let the coffee flow in, it literally goes right to your liver
Yeah.
and it sits there and it releases everything. And then it produces the glutathione, increases that, and it also eliminates all the waste that is in there. But it also, because it's cleaning out the toxins and heavy metals in your system, that can help regulate your hormones. It can help reset your gut health.
Yeah.
It helps with, again, with just total systemic inflammation. It's been known to improve like skin disorders. So it really helps with a variety of conditions.
And there's certain people groups who have been implementing this practice for many centuries. Like it's not
it's
just
ancient.
something
It's ancient.
brand new. And I love to take the best of the best from Western medicine, from Chinese medicine, from Ayurvedic medicine, and just say, like, okay, what has been working for different groups for a very long period of time? It's just like with fasting. Fasting is not new. When I started the Faster Way to Fat Loss, it wasn't a new concept. It was new to mainstream US and felt very extreme and intimidating, but it wasn't a new practice in the world.
Yeah.
And so let's just talk a little bit about kind of the how, because again, I've heard about coffee enemas, da, 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 but I was like really intimidated because I'm
intimidating.
like, what type of coffee do I use? What if I use the wrong type of coffee? Should it be hot coffee? Should it be cold coffee? How do I like insert it? Blah, blah, blah. Like, so let's just like go through the process because we can break it down to make it seem a little bit less intimidating and then share some of the outcomes that we experience as well. So first and foremost, you can use any sort of like organic coffee.
Mold free. It has to be mold free too.
Okay.
So organic, yes, but it needs to be mold free. So don't use your everyday coffee that most have in their home.
No Folgers coffee, everybody. Okay.
Or don't go to Starbucks and get a cup of coffee and do that. Like,
Oh my God.
so it has to say organic, mold free.
Yeah.
It's really
so
important.
like purity coffee would
Yes.
probably be a good option.
Purity's great.
But I bought a coffee specifically for coffee enemas on Amazon that you had used, and it's called like Bum Beans or
Happy
something.
Bum. Well, there's a couple different ones, but Happy Bum is one that I use.
Yeah.
And I like that one because I originally started with Amazon. I just went to Amazon and the enema bag I gave you was like the one that I started out with.
Yeah.
So just so you know, we were talking about this and I gave all of them enema bags.
All our friends.
And it was a joke, but then they all wanted to do it. That's
Yeah.
how we ended up having an enema party, coffee enema party.
Yeah.
So Happy Bum, I love Happy Bum because if you are a beginner, it gives you everything you need. It gives you the enema bag. So you have the choice of getting the silicone or the glass.
I have the silicone.
Yeah. Personally, I like the silicone because you can travel with it.
Right.
So, like, if you're going to Costa Rica, you can take
It
that
comes with
silicone
a
back
little
with you.
backpack that
Yes.
says, like, enema on the back,
Representing
and
Premier. It's Premier
it
Enema.
says Premier Enema, and I wore it around to track me, a literal
I
bag
have a
that
picture
said
of it.
Premier Enema.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. So I would go with the silicone just because you can travel with it. It's so
Mhm.
much easier than glass. I do have the glass. It's a little bit easier to clean, but it's not travel friendly.
Yeah.
In the kit with Happy Mom specifically, it comes with the silicone or the glass. It comes with the coffee that you should be
Got
using.
it.
So I usually suggest going with the medium roast first. It's a little bit more caffeinated. Don't go with the stronger until you're used to it.
So
Yeah.
funny.
And then it also comes with a little like how to,
Yeah.
so that like if you don't know who to look for or ask, it gives you all of the
What
instructions
is
in the
the
booklet.
worst that can happen if you put the wrong type of coffee up your butt?
Maybe the jitters, like more energy.
Oh,
So
okay.
because if it's going to have more caffeine, more
Yeah.
milligrams of caffeine, you can get like jittery because it does boost your energy.
Got
It's
it.
like drinking a cup of coffee but up your butt.
There you go.
So it does, but it gives you more energy in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
So that's why they say start medium. Also, it can give you more loose stools. So you shouldn't
Which
have,
didn't happen to me.
no, like, and everyone reacts differently. So if someone has a more sensitive
Yeah.
GI issues, digestive tract, they might, like our friend
Yeah.
couldn't hold it very
She
long.
had a hard time.
You're
She
supposed to hold
lasted
it for
for like 3
3
minutes.
minutes
Yeah.
and you're supposed to hold it for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
That's
or
the
10,
ideal.
15.
Yeah. So she could only hold it for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So we have other jokes
Which,
about
by
that,
the
but
way, one thing that I was not aware of when I had heard about coffee enemas in the past is really it's best to do immediately after you have a bowel movement
yes,
or literally do a mini enema
Yep.
prior
you
to.
want to empty your bowels.
That was actually surprising because I just assumed, oh, this is going to create a situation where it is the enema and it causes me to have a bowel movement, but that's not the case. You
Exactly.
wait until afterwards, or you just do a mini enema on yourself and then you do the actual coffee enema and you don't actually release. I didn't release poop.
You don't.
It was just pure coffee.
Yep. And that's why you're supposed to have the bowel movement before
Yeah.
because you want to hold it in as long as possible.
Yeah.
So it helps sit in the liver and help break everything up.
And doesn't it cycle through 5 times in 10 minutes or
Mhm.
something crazy? So it's literally going through to your liver 5 times.
It's just like flushing it constantly. So that's why you want to keep it in there as long as
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. So 10 to 15 minutes.
Yep,
I
10 to
want to do
15
it again
minutes.
because I've only done it once and I just did it for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but I think I could
You
for
could hold
sure
longer, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you want to do like 10 to 15 minutes, but really like for those of you that have never done it before, get a kit,
Yeah.
okay? Go with silicone, mold-free organic coffee, and then you want to boil. That's the key thing. You want to boil the coffee. So you're not going to put it through the
Mm.
machine because there's also microplastics. And
Oh.
depending on your coffee maker, you don't want to do that. So you
Yeah.
want to be as safe as possible since you are putting it in your body.
Yeah.
So you want to boil the coffee. And then once you boil it, what I love about if you have like a French press, that's how
Mhm.
I made our coffee that one day,
Yeah.
is I boiled the water. I put the 3 tablespoons of coffee in the French press. I poured the water in, which is 3 cups, and then I pressed it. I let it steep for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then that's how I made the coffee.
Got it.
So it's clean. It's in a French press. It's glass. It's made with, stainless steel, not aluminum. It's
Yeah.
not in a regular coffee. So you're trying to eliminate all the ways that are also bringing in toxins.
Yeah.
Because if you're using in a coffee machine, you're putting the toxins in your body.
Right.
So you want to eliminate that. And then you want it room temperature. So I know I think we were trying to like put it on ice. I was trying to put it on ice because it was too hot.
And then we put it in
But
the
you want it
freezer.
room temperature
Yeah.
so that it cools down because you want it most like your own bodily fluids. You don't want to
Mhm.
shock your system.
Yeah.
And then it takes how long take you? Maybe 3 minutes for it to flow in once you
Not
inserted it?
even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
not even. So the silicone bag, you just hang it high. Like in our case, we all were in different bathrooms. So I hung it with like a basically hanger
Yeah.
on the shower curtain or like just a little hook behind the door. And then there's different speeds at which you can allow the coffee to flow in. And I think I just like opened it up and let it go nice and quick because I'm like, whatever, I'm
Yeah.
like, and so then you just lay on your left side, correct?
Yeah.
So I laid on my left side, held it for like 10 minutes. And I was like sending photos to you guys all the
Pure.
while. Yeah. But I do not laugh is one note. Just try not
'Cause
to
it
laugh.
comes out.
Yeah. Try not to laugh. I did lay on a towel, but I don't know that I really needed it.
I've never had an explosive issue on a
Yeah.
towel before.
And you stick the actual enema, I don't know what you call it, nozzle up about, was it like 6 inches?
I mean, it's really, if you order a kit,
Yeah.
it's the full length of the insertion.
Until
So
the shoulder.
it's like this.
Yeah.
It's
So
about
maybe
that.
4
Yeah.
inches. Yeah.
And you do want to like lubricate it with coconut oil.
Right. Which when I do my ozone therapy, rectal insufflation, I stick it up way further. It's like 10 inches. So that was actually less, but it is wider.
And it's small.
Yeah.
So, and there's different tips that you can use. I would suggest using the smallest tip.
Yeah.
Don't
To start.
to start.
Yeah. To start. So you lay on your left side, you let all the coffee go up into your butt. It's then going to cycle through
Mhm.
to your liver 5 times within the 10 minutes. Hold it for 12 to 15 minutes if you can. And then you just get on the toilet and release it all out.
Exactly.
And ideally, you're feeling energized. Ideally, you're feeling like your liver's a little bit more uh, optimal,
Yep.
where mine is like very sluggish in general. Cool.
Yeah. And you should share your experience too post because I remember you saying like
I
I
was
feel
tired.
tired.
Yeah, I was tired.
You
Yeah,
were. You were like, I think I need to take a nap or
it would
something.
be, I would have to do it again to see if I have that same reaction. To be fair, it was a Saturday, so it's like I've had the whole work week ahead of me. I did my leg day that morning.
Mhm.
And so was I tired from the coffee enema or was I just tired? It's hard to say.
Yeah. But anytime you do any type of detox,
Yeah.
whether it
Yeah.
is coffee enemas, castor oil liver packs, any of the remedies that we're talking about here today,
Right.
you can be symptomatic. You can have a
Mhm.
positive experience,
Yeah.
meaning like you can have more energy, you feel like you can go run a marathon, you feel lighter, you're less bloat, or you can be the other side where you can have detox symptoms where you can feel tired,
Headache.
have a headache.
Right.
You know, so that's why it's really important to make sure you're hydrated, make sure you're eating clean food,
Yeah.
make sure that if your body's tired that you do rest, don't push yourself. Because again, if you haven't been doing any of these type of modalities for detoxing, you're detoxing years of toxins in your body
Right.
and heavy metals and even food pollutants. So it is normal for your body to experience that. And that's
Yeah.
where you can like benefit or not benefit, but you can aid in that with maybe taking like a binder. So we took binders before we did the enema, which a
Mhm.
binder is, think of it like a vacuum. So you take this binder, it has charcoal, clay in it, and it sucks up the toxins and it helps poop it out more
Yeah.
so that those toxins don't stay in your body. So there's ways to help aid and having less symptoms or even like the castor oil liver pack that
Yes.
helps as well, but everyone's body responds differently. You just have to give it time and just keep doing it and you'll start to see the
It's
positive
similar
effects.
to when a client comes into the Faster Way to Fat Loss for the first time. They're fasting Monday, Tuesday. They're limiting their processed foods. They're limiting their carbs. Sometimes on Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, clients report having a headache or feeling extra tired. But many times that's because they are detoxifying. And so I often will say, okay, have some electrolytes. The Faster Way hydration product is great. Even just water with some sea salt and some lemon is awesome. So I think, it's just similar. And I'm now kind of at a different level of trying out some of these different biohacking things. We are jumping around, but I do want to talk about the castor oil
Liver pack.
liver pack. So I forgot to do it last night in the sauna. I'm going to do it tonight.
Okay.
But we did the castor oil pack right after the coffee enema. And this is something I was super intimidated about because I was like, oh, isn't castor oil going to be super messy and da da
Mhm.
da? Well, the packs that we got off of Amazon, oh my gosh, so
It's so easy.
no mess at all
Simple.
whatsoever.
Yep.
It looks like a big Band-Aid. And it has adhesive on it, but not adhesive that makes my skin react because I do have that reaction sometimes. And you put like 1 or 2 tablespoons of castor
Castor
oil
oil.
on the middle of the pack, which has almost like a felt uh, patch, I suppose. So you just
It's like a
stick
big
it on there.
Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you put it on your right side
Right
under
upper
your
quadrant.
rib.
Yep.
Yes. And you just leave it there. I now have been doing it and then going in the sauna because I guess the heat can
Perfect.
kind of activate.
Maximizes it.
But share with us just a little bit about the benefit of the castor oil.
So the castor oil liver pack, I would say that if you're not doing anything at all, you can start this today because it's so cheap. Like it's literally like if finances are an issue for you and you're like, I don't want to buy the enema stuff, castor oil liver pack you can do every single day and it's going to help with very similar qualities as the coffee enema. So
You do it every single day?
I do it probably anytime I'm in the sauna. So
Okay.
anytime I get in the sauna,
Got it.
I will use the castor oil liver pack or
Yeah.
when I do the enemas. So
Okay.
again, if you can stack
Yeah.
these two things, the castor oil plus the sauna, the castor oil plus the infrared, the castor oil
Yes.
plus the sauna, it's just going to maximize the detox benefits and it's going to help aid. It's going to help support the toxins to get out of your system much
Right.
better.
Right.
So again, with the castor oil, what it does is it helps remove toxins.
Mhm.
It helps with bile production.
Yeah.
It does not stimulate the production of glutathione. only the coffee enema does that. So the castor oil liver pack doesn't stimulate glutathione, only that because again, it is internal and it's
Yeah.
triggering that through the coffee and those ingredients in that.
When I do the castor oil pack, when then later that night I'll be laying on my PEMF mat. Listen to us.
We have a lot of things. I told you this, we need a part two.
And also doing my ozone therapy. Yeah, we really do. So when I'm laying on my PEMF mat at night after doing the castor oil liver packs, my liver feels inflamed almost.
It's probably truth. It's probably because it's sluggish and you
Yeah.
probably need to do a liver gallbladder flush.
Yes.
Because that's what happens is that if you ever feel, and I'll go back to my history, I just naturally have digestive issues. I'm an
Mm.
O blood type. We tend to carry, yeah, we tend to carry stuff in our gut. And that's where I carry my stress. And I did every single test in the world 10 years ago, like
Yeah.
HIDA scan to check for, my gallbladder. I did CT scan. They're like, nothing's wrong with you. And I'm like, it's my stress. Like, it's my stress. And
Mm.
that's when I was like, okay, what can I do?
Yeah.
And then even my acupuncturist, he was like, Allie, he's like, you carry all your emotions in your liver. He was like, so
Interesting.
you feel, and I would always feel something here. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
something's wrong with my stomach. And I'm like, it's actually my
Oh.
liver. And that's where I realized I definitely have a sluggish liver. And
Yeah.
that's where you can do the castor oil, you can do the enemas. Those are all great. But if your liver is filled, if your gallbladder specifically is
Yeah.
filled with gallstones and sluggish, which mine did have,
Right.
then really you're kind of like you're doing stuff, but you're not cleaning it out entirely. And I will
Mhm.
admit that I recently just did the liver
You gotta tell me
gallbladder
about it.
flush.
You
I
gotta tell me.
just recently did it because I was like, why am I doing all of these things? And
Yeah.
I still feel like something's like, I don't feel clean,
Mhm.
like fully. And when I did that liver flush and I saw all the green gallstone, it was disgusting. And it was slime and there was slime. I was like, that's why I'm not getting the full benefits
Mhm.
of these other remedies that I've been doing.
So tell us about that. You told us about it over brunch. So we were eating and she's like, and I had hundreds
Hundreds.
of stones and parasites come out of my
It was
body.
disgusting. So first, when I came home and I like did it, because it's a 7-day
Oh, it's
length, but
7.
it really only 2. So for 7 days, you have to drink tart cherry juice,
I do tart cherry every
which is
night.
great. So you're already conditioning your body for this type of cleanse.
Yeah.
But then it's really just 2 days of focused uh nutritional patterns.
Yeah.
Honestly, with doing the 24-hour fast in Faster Way, it's already preparing you to do this,
Mhm,
truthfully,
mhm,
because
mhm.
you do a 24-hour fast give and take, but then you do go just fruits and vegetables for the
Okay.
last 2.
Okay.
But the 24-hour fast does mentally prepare you for this, I
Right.
believe. It really
Right.
does. So when I did it, I remember showing Steven, my husband, he's like, please tell me you didn't show those on social. I'm like, oopsie, I already showed everyone my gallstones.
Oopsie.
And I was like, this is so cool. I'm like, who wouldn't want to do this? Because it shows you what's in your body. So for me, that's, let's just say 40 years,
Yeah.
40 years of toxins, heavy metals
Oof.
that have been stored in my gallbladder and liver. Cause I haven't done it until recently because I didn't really understand it
One
truthfully.
of our
So
top coaches has gallbladder issues, and I should tell her about this. And because I have a sluggish liver, I feel like this is the next step for me
yep,
as well. You literally drank extra virgin olive oil
yep.
with Epsom salt.
Yes. So at night, what you do is you take at nighttime, there's 3 doses of Epsom salt. So it's
Mhm.
1 tablespoon and 4 ounces of water. Doesn't taste good. You just chug it.
Yeah.
So every 2 hours, you take 3 rounds. And then right before you go to bed, you drink a cup of extra virgin olive oil
So crazy.
with some grapefruit juice. And then you just chug it. So you
Yeah.
can put orange juice, but it has to be like fresh pressed. So there's no like toxins or
Can't be
chemicals in it.
kombucha, has to
No,
be
it
okay.
has to be. I did fresh grapefruit juice, or you could do
Yeah.
lemon juice or orange juice. I did
Yeah.
grapefruit juice.
Yeah.
And then you drink it and then you go straight to bed and then you lay on your right side. Okay. So right when you get to bed, so that again, it's your liver, your gallbladder, and it's just sitting in
But
there
why your right side and not your left side?
because it's different. So your gallbladder and liver is over here.
Yeah.
So
It's
when
on your right side.
it's on your right side. So when you're laying on that side, you're eased up like this. So it's just sitting there, the oil. So what it's doing is the
Mm.
oil is softening the
Okay. Got you.
stones, where the enema, you're on the other side, and that's because it's flowing. So you're
Got
trying to
it.
open up the flow. So it's
Yeah.
the opposite side for each procedure. So what happens is the extra virgin olive oil softens the stones,
Mhm.
and then the Epsom salt actually squeezes the bile ducts so that the stones are going to be forced out.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you don't feel them because what happens is they become almost like putty,
Yeah.
almost like Play-Doh. And I was like, I'm going to have nothing. I was like, I've been detoxing for years.
Yeah.
I'm going to be great. And I was like, by the third bowel movement, I was like, this is hundreds of stones. And it wasn't just hundreds of stones. There was like little seeds in it, like little black, like I took pictures to show my functional medicine doctor. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what are these? Are these parasites? Are these like, I don't know what this stuff is. Like
Yeah.
there was so much of it. And I had a total of 6 bowel movements in the morning, and
Yeah.
every single one was full of gallstones,
Oh my
full of
gosh.
gallstones
In
and like little buggy looking things. It was disgusting. But I was like, wow, I feel so empowered that I just cleaned that out of my system.
Yes.
So they say you want to do that pretty much every single month
Mhm.
until you have none.
Wow.
And then you can do it twice per year. So ideally, you should have none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my next step. We are going to have to do part 2. But here's what I'll say, because some of you are listening and you've made it to the end, but you're really overwhelmed. And you're like, oh my God, like, first of all, it sounds expensive. It sounds time consuming. It sounds confusing. First step, intermittent fast. Okay, first step,
100%.
free, easy, not easy, but straightforward. 24-hour fast with the VIP community,
Mhm.
with the new client community. That is a great way to detox. Second step, I would say from the standpoint of cost and ease, the castor oil, even though
Next
I was
cheapest.
so intimidated by this because I thought it'd be a huge mess. And the only experience I had with castor oil was at the end of all my pregnancies. And I was like so done being pregnant. I was like
To get the babies out.
100 weeks pregnant. And I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to like guzzle castor oil with orange juice. And every single time I did it, I would go into
Yeah.
labor. So that was the only experience I had with castor oil. But I would say that is just really, really simple to do. And then the coffee enema, it does take a little bit more research and energy to be sure that you're doing it the right way. I don't think there's any like very negative outcome for that
No.
unless you're like gonna use Starbucks very hot coffee by accident, not,
Yeah.
you know. But that would be kind of number 2. And then for me, the liver detox and the gallbladder detox with what do you call that? Just the
It's the liver.
cleanse?
It's called a liver flush.
Liver flush. We do need to do a part 2, and we'll talk about the ozone therapy because I'm such a huge believer in that now. It's been absolutely life changing for me. And there's other things that we could talk about, dry brushing and da da da. But fasting, just start with fasting.
Yep. Fasting's free.
Fasting's free.
Literally. And it's
Yes.
incredible. It's incredible for your health.
Yes.
And it's one of the top things that integrative functional medicine doctors recommend
Mm-hmm.
for disease, for inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
A really great book. It's by Dr. Keneally.
Uh-huh.
She is an integrative cancer doctor. And I really dove
Ooh.
deep into that world when my mom was diagnosed with
Yeah.
a glioblastoma.
Yeah.
And just looking at all of the remedies on how to
Mhm.
prevent healing, longevity, not just for cancer, but for all things. Because we
Yeah.
talk about living till what, 120,
105.
105,
Yeah, you're gonna be
102,
120. I'll be
120.
105.
No, we're going for 120.
Yeah.
And in that book, her book is called, I think it's called The Cancer Revolution. Highly suggest reading that because she almost goes over every single remedy that we're talking about that she has all of her patients do.
Yeah.
Fasting,
Ooh.
the liver flushes, the coffee enemas. She does oil pulling, dry brushing, like everything that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's been in her book, and that's stuff that she implements with all of her cancer patients and
Cool.
all of her anti-cancer patients. So it's a great book if you're wanting to read
Yeah.
something. And I know you'll link stuff, but I can send you the books and you can link.
Yes.
There's a book on the gallbladder liver flush.
Cool.
There's that book by Dr. Keneally. So there's a couple of resources I can send to you. You can link
Okay.
them.
We'll put some links in the notes here, but tell us where we can find and follow you as well.
Ali Tessitore on Instagram.
And have you posted on a highlight about the gallbladder and
Yes.
liver flush?
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
look
you can
at the
see my
highlights.
gallstones.
That's awesome.
And you know what I'll do also? I will go back and I will save our biohacking party that we did with the enemas,
Ooh,
and I'll
perfect.
share
Yeah.
some of the stuff because it will show like us doing the lymphatic drainage.
Yeah.
It's showing us
The
do the
red
red
light.
light.
Cool.
It's showing us like drinking our post juice. So I'll like put that on a highlight story so
Cool.
they can go and watch that. And I'll just say Ali and Amanda biohacking.
Okay.
Like so they can find it.
Love it. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll do a part
Part 2.
two as well. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.